This isn't a theory. These are facts, and they change how you see everything. Let's start with this: the lie we all believed. For decades, you've been told that Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. That's a cute story, but here's the truth bomb. Millions of people already lived here, thriving civilizations with complex cities, governments, and culture. Columbus didn't discover America. He stumbled into it armed with violence and a misunderstanding of geography. And here's the real kicker: the story didn't even start with him. Viking explorer Leif Erikson was here nearly 500 years earlier. So why do we say Columbus? The answer lies in how history is written, not by the most truthful, but by the ones with the loudest megaphone. Pause for visual dramatization. Let's move to 230 to reveal how this narrative got mainstreamed in the first place. Starting in the 19th century, nationalists sought stories to unify a young United States. They chose Columbus, painting him as a brave and noble explorer. School textbooks followed suit, locking his name into our collective memory. But here's the stinger. Uncovering this wasn't hard. In fact, primary documents show Columbus wasn't a hero at all. Letters to his contemporaries describe a man obsessed with gold, someone who enabled atrocities. Yet the narrative held firm. Why? Because truth was inconvenient. Subverting it allowed historians to craft a tale that served colonial interest, glorifying European domination. So now, most people don't ask questions. But here at WT Factual, we dig deeper than textbooks allow. Now for data that backs up the reality. Forensic archaeological studies reveal horrifying evidence of what Columbus's arrival meant. Mass graves in places like the Caribbean, showing deforestation, ecosystem collapse, and rampant disease outbreaks, are all linked to European intrusion. Some scientists reveal the indigenous population in the Americas plummeted by over 80% in just a century after 1492. They call it the Great Dying. Ever heard of this term? Of course not. It doesn't sit well with heroic tales of discovery. And yet, holding on to lies distorts every modern understanding of justice, territory, and human history. But now we face the bigger psychological question. At minute 6, I'll hit you with the one document that proves it all. Don't miss it. For now, let's talk human behavior. Why do people ignore the truth? Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance. When faced with facts that challenge deeply rooted beliefs, it feels uncomfortable, like static in your brain. People prefer the comfort of myths over the chaos of reality. Now add systematic education on top of that. If you were taught something since kindergarten, how likely are you to question that as an adult? Most folks won't. But for some of us, that dissonance sparks curiosity. Here's a quick insight. Corporations and governments have long understood this psychological phenomenon. They use it to manipulate popular opinion, steering it away from inconvenient truths. So, while world leaders feigned ignorance about historical genocides, the rest of the world plunged onward, remaining blissfully unaware, or indifferent. And now, this matters more than ever. History doesn't repeat, it echoes. The systems that once erased truths to craft their own narratives are alive and well today. Think about modern conflicts, political propaganda, or fake news. A population unwilling to question even past myths is ripe for manipulation in the present. Understanding the truth behind Columbus isn't just about reclaiming buried history. It's about protecting our ability to think critically now and in the future. So, what do you do with this knowledge? You learn, you share, you challenge myths when you hear them. Because, spoiler alert, an educated populace is the single greatest threat to lies. Does your brain feel like it just did a backflip? Comment WTF if this info blew your mind. Like and subscribe for weekly truth bombs. End scene with outro music and a redacted document dissolving into clarity.